Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to the first of many unboxing / component videos for the Smash Up game. So I'm going to go through every single set that's currently out. Not in this video, there will be a video for each different set. But then you can decide if you want to pick it up or not. So of course we got to start out with the base game, because you're going to... Actually, you don't need to have this to play the game. This is actually one of those things that's kind of interesting. You could pick up any of the expansions and potentially play the game. The only thing you're not going to have is there's probably not going to be a full rule book, but you can look up online how to play. The other thing would be is that the base game here comes with enough for 4 players. Each expansion, box expansion, is only going to have enough for 2 players. And it's going to limit what you can do, and I'll explain why in a second. So, you probably want to pick up the box just so you have a lot of extra cards to play with, but you could pick up a small one and play a versus game, I suppose. But the games really should generally be played with 3 to 4 player. I don't know, 5 or more might be too much because it's time between turns. 2 player gets a little hard because it's a competitive game. So what makes Smash Up interesting is called a shuffle building game. And how this works and what it is, what makes this a unique game, is you're going to take 2 groups of decks, 20 card decks, of different factions, and you're going to mash them together to make one 40 card deck. So you're going to take 2 different types of things, you're going to make one deck, and then every time you play a different game, you can choose different characters, different teams, as it were, and make different decks, see different things they do. And then you're trying to do is score bases by playing your minions down or playing actions to do stuff. And then you try and score bases to gain points. Whoever gets most points at the end wins. Or gets so many points. So here we're just kind of flip the instructions here quick. See our objectives, table of contents. So here it's saying right there. So you're going to take 2 decks, like example, robots, ninjas. You're going to make a robot ninja deck. And the next time you play, you can pick different ones. Yeah, you can do whatever you want to do. Turn, pretty easy. Play cards. So on your turn, you can play 1 minion, play 1 action, or play 1 of each. But that's all you can do. So basically, you can play 2 cards each turn, either 1 minion, 1 action, or you can only play 1 of each if you don't want to play both. If you don't have any, you don't have to play any. Or if you don't want to play any for some reason, play them in any order, doesn't matter. Your minions are going to be cards that try and take over the bases. Actions are going to give you additional abilities. There are definitely going to be cards that let you play more than 1 card at a time. You can play multiple. And then end of the round, end of your turn, you check to see if the base scores. If it does, people gain points, and we'll go over that. Then you draw 2 cards. You draw these at the end of your turn, which is kind of nice, because that way during the other player's turn, you can already see what's in your hand, and kind of start gauging on what you want to do. Like, okay, I think I'm going to do this, I can do this. I mean, granted, that'll change based on what your other players do. But it also... It keeps the game from stagnating right at the beginning of a turn, where you draw a card and you're like, okay, well, this one new card completely changes what I wanted to do. So then you're going to have 2 different types of cards. You're going to have minions and actions. So minion cards are going to have the name, of course, like this one here. This is a collector. Little symbol on the bottom shows he's from the aliens. It says he's a minion. 2 power. And he has an ability. And the power is going to be how many points you collect towards the base. And then actions are basically the same thing. You got your action identifier, name, ability. It just doesn't have a number associated with it. Because actions are typically one-time use. You use them, they do something, or they'll go and attach to something. So to score, get VP based on the things. So here's what a base is going to look like. A base is going to have a break point of 21. So every time you play a minion on there, it's going to add towards that total. Then once you hit that total or higher at the end of someone's turn, each player gets to score points based on who has the most points. So for example, if we hit 21 and each person had, we had 3 people on there and each person had, I'll just say we had 2 people. One person had 10 and one person had 11. Person that had 10 would be second place and only gain 3 points. Person that had 11 would gain 4 points. So it's kind of a strategic game because you gotta decide at some point, is it worth you to keep playing cards? Does someone else have so far of a lead? Is it gonna make sense for you to drop on there and try and get points? Or if you're playing 4-player and there's already 3 players on there, it might not be worth you trying to add more cards to it. And there's an ability that kicks off at the end of each one. And then each faction or team has their own bases that are associated with them, but they're not tied to them. Then here's just some description. So in this set, we're going to get to play as aliens, dinosaurs, ninjas, pirates, robots, tricksters, wizards, and zombies. So a lot of the, like, mainstay things you could think of. Alright, so before I actually go to show off the things, I'm just going to show off a couple of cards really quick, little gameplay thing. So again, for example, if I had the Temple of Goju, I need to play 18 points worth of minions on here to score this. But now the first player is going to gain 2 points, second player will gain 3 points, third player will gain 2 points, any additional players won't gain any. So for every character I play on there, so if I'm playing with ninjas and I play this ninja acolyte, and I'm just going to ignore the abilities for right now, he's going to score me 2 points. And then if I play a higher cost one that costs 4, so now I am up to 6 points on this particular base. Then player 2, for example, plays a 3 armored stego from the dinosaur deck, but then also drops his big giant King Rex at 7. Now he's up to 10. So we're at 16 of 18. But right now how it's going is, and let's say the third player doesn't want to try and compete for this base. So now these 2 are playing, so now each one has to decide who's going to break it and who's going to get it. Because if you break the base, on your turn, so let's say now it's the ninja's turn. He only needs to play something that costs 2 to get to that 18. So he plays at least a 2-cost minion. He's going to score, and I'll leave him with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He'll still have 8 points. So there's no way that he's going to have over 10 unless he plays something higher than 10. So it'd be beneficial for him to play like a 2, just finish it off, gains 3 points. Whereas if it's the dinosaur player's turn, they might decide to, they're like, I'm already winning right now, so I'm only going to get 2 points anyhow, so I can just sit here and leave it until let someone else score off the base. They can let a third player play a card that plays 2, and then he'd still only gain 2 points. So it's strategic, but each different base is going to have different numbers as well. So, like, a different example would be the Tar Pits for the dinosaurs has a break point of 16, but it's 4, 3, and 2. So that's going to make a difference as well. Or, their other one is Jungle Oasis. You only get 12, but it only costs 2, and then 0, 0. So, after you're starting to lose, you might just abandon this base. And there's always going to be bases out there equal to the number of players. I believe it's the same, equal to the number of players, or it's one less. I have to actually double check that really quick. So it's not like there's going to be like 10 bases out. There's always just going to be enough to keep you playing. Let me double check what that says. Draw 1 base per player plus 1, for example. So these 4 bases for 3 players. So it's always going to be 1 more than any given player, so that each person can't be like, I'm playing base 1, I'm playing base 2, I'm playing base 3. Then there'll always be 1 extra base to kind of compete over. Alright, so now we kind of basically explained the basics of it. Let's jump in and look at some of these cards. Like I said, each different faction is going to have its own unique mechanics and stuff, but they're all going to be relatively equal. Usually half the deck is minions and half the deck is actions. This is not 100% fact rule. It's not 20 cards, it's not 10 and 10. Some have more of one, some have more of the other. And then usually they have 4 different types of minions. But again, this isn't always the case. Some might have a lot more, some might have less. Again, keeps the game even. And then later expansions, because we've already talked about expansions, they add other different mechanics to the game as well. Some of them add counters and things like that. So this is the base game, which also maybe is the start date. Not that the characters aren't going to work well with the other sets, but they're also a little bit more easier to understand. So here we have the aliens. And we get 2, 3, we get 4 copies of the Collector, who's a 2, who says, you may return a minion of 3 power or less on this base to its owner's hand. So that means when you play this onto a base, if another player has if any player has a minion on there that's 2 or less, or 3 or less, you can return it to its hand. And I love the way these cards are worded, because this can be another player, so you can get it off there so that they're not trying to take that base over. Or you could potentially return one of yours to your hand if you need it to do something else. Like maybe it had an effect that once you played it, it did something, but now you want to bounce it back to do it somewhere else. So we have 2 invaders, who are just going to give you straight up 1 VP. And that's how you win the game. You only need 15 to win the game. So this guy just straight up gives you 1 without having to do anything else. We have some scouts. Get 3 copies of those. These guys are 3 points. So it says special. After this base is scored, you may place this minion in your hand instead of your discard pile. And it's just one of them fun things too. Basically, you play this guy down, and then after the base is scored, normally all your cards get discarded. So it's also why you gotta kind of watch where you're putting stuff. You don't want to, if you're winning, you don't want to just keep dropping more and more minions on there, because it doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna win already, like example with the Dinosaurs, they were up 10 to 6. It wouldn't have made more sense for them to play like another big giant monster on there, because they wouldn't have gotten anything out of it. But this is nice, because you play him and he goes back to your hand so you can use him again. And then we have the Supreme Overlord. You may return a minion to its owner's hand. So you can kind of see the little theme here. Right now it's just the minions, the aliens, is they're all about putting stuff back. So again, it can be, I guess you call it beaming up maybe, because it returns stuff to their hands. So you can put cards back, put your cards back in your hand. You can put your opponent's cards back in your hand. You can kind of mix up where things are. It lets you manipulate the board. So let's look at some of their action cards. We have Probe. Look at another player's hand, choose a minion in it. That player discards that minion. Crop Circles. Choose a base. Return each minion on that base to its owner's hand. Lets you, yeah, these guys like to just keep the bases clean, do what they need to do. We have Terraforming. Search the base deck for a base. Swap it with the base in play. Discard all actions attached to it. Shuffle the base deck. You may play an extra minion on the new base. So that's kind of fun too, because you can go through and get rid of the base and get rid of all the actions on it. I'm assuming though, and there might be a clarification in like one of the books or something, is because it just says remove the action. So I'm wondering if the minions stay on there. Do not, yeah. I'm sure one of the, there's probably other things in there that specifies what stuff does. But yeah, that's how that is. That's kind of cool. Here we have Invasion. Move a minion to another base. Yeah, these guys are all about just moving cards around, manipulating the field. We got 2 copies of Beam Up. Return a minion to its owner's hand. Jam Signal. Play on a base. Ongoing. All players ignore this base's abilities, so you can basically shut down whatever that effect is. Abduction. Return a minion to its owner's hand. Play an extra minion. And you can see some of these effects, you might be like, well, these don't, like, they keep returning stuff, but they're not gaining any bonuses for being back in their hand or anything like that. And that's where the mixing of another deck comes in. Because you're going to mix in another deck that might have a lot of cards that say, when you play this, do this, or you play this, do that. And that's where you get the bonuses of these guys. Disintegrator, we got 2 of those, and these are the final actions. Says place a minion of 3 power or less on the bottom of its owner's deck. Yeah, so the aliens are all about getting things off the field or manipulating guys around. The 2 bases that are associated with them, and again, I think when you play like you're playing aliens, they expect you to like shuffle these guys in, but as you get more and more sets, you can just mix all your bases together. It's just because the abilities kind of reflect what your minion is, and I think it gives you that, you know, home field advantage if you have a base that works with your character. But, you know, you can use all the bases in there and make it more interesting. So after each time a minion is played here, its owner may play an extra minion of 2 or less power. So this one could score really quickly if you're playing low-powered characters. And the Mothership. After this base scores, the winner may return one of his minions of 3 power or less from here to his or her hand. So those are aliens. And then the backs of the cards are just yellow, and the blue ones are your base cards. It say base cards, just so they don't get mixed up in your deck. Alright, since we've already looked at the dinosaurs, let's jump back into those. So we have 4 copies of the War Raptor. Gives us 2 points. It's ongoing. Gain +1 power for each War Raptor on this base, including this one. So when you play this down, he's worth 3. You play a second one down, each one is now worth 4. So the more you play of these guys, the more powerful they're going to get, and they can take over bases a lot quicker. I love these dinos. They're dinosaurs, but they're all like armored dinosaurs. Reminds me of Dino Riders, the cartoon. So here we have an armored Stego. Ongoing, has +2 power during each other player's turns. So that means on your turn, he's worth 3, but then during every other player's turn, now he's worth 5 on that base. So there's a good chance that he could help score on a base during somebody else's turn. Ooh, we got a third one of those. I mixed it up. We have Laser Tops. Destroy a minion on this. A minion of power 2 or less on this base. You can have him drop and destroy some of them aliens. You know, good combo there. And then finally we have Big Old King Rex, who has no special abilities, but that's because he gives you 7, which is one of the highest in the game. Then let's look at some ability or action cards. We have Play on a base, ongoing. Your minions here are not affected by other players' actions. Wildlife Preserve. So this would be nice when you play it down to keep your minions from getting moved by like the aliens or destroyed by something else. Natural Selection. Choose one of your minions on a base, destroy a minion there with less power than yours. Drop your 7 cost Rex and destroy your opponent's 5 cost whatever. Tooth and Claw and Guns. Play on a minion, ongoing. If this ability would affect this minion, destroy this card, and the ability does not affect the minion. So these dinosaurs have lots of stuff for gaining power, and then kind of protecting themselves once they're out. 2 copies of Howl. Each of your minions gains +1 power till the end of your turn. Again, this can be used to quickly finish off a base on your turn. You have 4 guys out. Also, you drop this, now you have 4 more points. At the end of the turn, it goes away. Survival of the fittest. Destroy the lowest power minion you choose in the case of a tie on each base with a higher power minion. This can definitely wreck some stuff. Oh, thing got full. 2 copies of Augmentation. 1 minion gains +4 power till the end of your turn. Yeah, these guys are quick boosts, even if they're like 1-turn boosts, but they can come in, jump in, finish off stuff, go away. We have Rampage. Reduce the breakpoint of a base by the power of one of your minions on that base till the end of turn. So I drop it from like 21 down to whatever. And Upgrade. Playing a minion, ongoing, this minion has +2 power. So action cards can attach to either the base, which they'll do something either affecting cards that enter the base or something trying to affect the base, something like that. Or they can be played directly onto a minion. If they're played onto the minion and that minion moves to a different base, or then that card goes with it. If it gets returned to your hand, though, then that action gets discarded. So you can't play this on a minion, give them 2 power, then do something to return it to its hand, because then you'll just lose it. Which is a good reason to protect your cards once they're out. Our 2 locations we looked at a little bit before. We have Tar Pits. This is after each time a minion is destroyed here, place it at the bottom of its owner's deck. This worked really well. These got dinosaurs like to destroy minions, and then now they can keep them on the bottom of their deck, so they can't get to them as quick. And the Jungle Oasis. No specials, but it only scores 2 points. Basically, you drop like your Rex on there. Most people probably aren't going to then try and play something on top of that. Alright, up next we have the Tricksters. So we have some gremlins. We have 4 copies of them. Little tiny mythical creatures. So ongoing, after this minion is destroyed, draw a card, and each other player discards a card at random. Which is crazy. So it's like, yeah, you want him to get destroyed, because then you get a card out of it, and then discarding random, and random sucks, because you could end up discarding something you really need. So you have 3 copies of the Gnome, who's just casually sitting there with a knife. You may destroy a minion on this base with a power less than the number of minions you have here. So again, destroy the opponents, or you can destroy your gremlin if you want. I love games where you can play cards that you can choose to affect yourself. A Brownie. Ongoing, after another player plays a card that affects this minion, that player discards 2 cards at random. So they play that and they're trying to move him or destroy him. Then they have to discard 2 cards at random. And 2 cards sucks, but 2 cards at random? Ugh. You can definitely see where some of these would be a pain to play against. And then we have a Leprechaun. After another player plays a minion here with less power than this minion's power, destroy it. Resolve its ability first. So just to come in, do its thing, then you turn around and destroy it. And you can boost his power up with other cards. Like you could use, again, like if you're playing Trickster Dinosaurs, you could play him, and he gives him +2, which makes him a 7. Which means they play anything less than a 7, it's going to get destroyed. So they'd be really hard. So people then probably wouldn't play anything on that base, which would probably assure you that victory as soon as you can earn enough points to do it. Alright. Our actions. Enshrouding Mist. Play on a base. Ongoing. On your turn, you may play an extra minion here. I know this might seem like, oh, it's really powerful. But again, as soon as you hit that break point, the base scores, all your cards go away, including that one. But they just go back to your discard pile, so you'll eventually get them again. 2 cards of Disenchant. Destroy an action that has been played on a minion or a base. I'll let you get rid of stuff. Block the path. Play on a base. Name a faction. Ongoing, minions of that faction cannot be played here, so it shuts down one of the other things. If you're playing a 4-player game, you can shut down someone else's deck. At least half of it. We have Hideout. Play on a base. Ongoing. If another player's action would affect your minions here, destroy this card and the action does not affect your minions. It gets you a free dodge. Flame Trap. Unlucky Charms. That's awesome. Play on a base. Ongoing. After another player plays a minion here, destroy it. Resolve the ability first and this card. So yeah, it's like they're gonna clearly see it coming, but you know, maybe they have to do it if they need to score that base. Pay the Piper. Play on a base. Ongoing. After another player plays a minion here, that player discards a card. You kind of see these guys like to mess with everybody. Mark of Sleep. Choose a player. That player cannot play actions on his or her next turn. And then take the shinies. Each other player discards 2 cards at random. The bases are Cave of Shinies. After each time a minion here is destroyed, its owner gains 1 VP. And Mushroom Kingdom. At the start of each player's turn, that player may move 1 other player's minion from any base to here. So this would be a good thing where you could try and like quickly move something over to like score it quick. Like, I'm winning, I have, you know, 17 points, I just need to score, move something over. I have 15 points, I'm gonna win. Just move something over there quick, so that way, because that's the other thing you want. Other thing that'll happen is if you spread out your minions and your actions, like especially at this deck where they get to like stay on the table, you spread them out too far and you're playing too many cards that you're gonna start running out of options to score. And you're just gonna be sitting there waiting for your opponents to finish off bases. So like at some point, yeah, maybe gaining, you know, like if you're playing Cave of Shinies, getting 4 points would be awesome. Getting 1 point might not be that great. But if you already have 3 cards committed to this, like 3 minions and an action, so you have 4 cards stuck on this base, and you might be worth you just playing 1 more, score it out, maybe get your 1 point if you didn't have enough points to get first or second. But then at least you get all your cards back. Granted, you're also giving your opponents access to all their cards too, but maybe they only have 2 cards committed because they have higher card cost. Maybe they have like 2 5s. It's going to give them their 5s back. But if you have 4 or 5 cards that are stuck on that, you know, you're really limiting what else you can do. So now we have some zombies. 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the walkers. So let's take the top card of your deck. Discard it or return it to the top of your deck. So you kind of just see what you're going to do. We have 3 copies of Tenacious Z. Special. During your turn, you may play this card from your discard pile as an extra minion. You may only use the ability of 1 Tenacious Z each turn. So you can use your walker, look at the deck, this guy's on top, discard him, and if he's in your discard pile, you can play him as a free card, so that way you get two minions on a turn. Which is really cool. Which makes sense, zombies coming back from the grave, and speaking of the grave, we're going to have Gravedigger, 2 copies. You may place a minion from your discard pile into your hand. And then the big one we're going to have is the Zombie Lord. You may play an extra minion with the power of 2 or less from your discard pile onto each base where you have no minions. So this one works really well if you're playing something with small minions, like we saw the aliens. The robots are going to be like that, like future sets, as other cards that have a lot more smaller minions. But yeah, let's kind of spread out your infection. Plus, there's a lot of stuff in this game, if you haven't noticed, there's a lot of like callbacks or references to things. So like Tenacious Z is, I think, a slight play on like Z usually meaning zombie, but also like Tenacious D, the band. This Zombie Lord, he's a pilgrim, so he's like, oh, he's been around forever. But he also has like a Necronomicon. We have They Keep Coming, which has a runner. Playing extra meaning from your discard pile. 2 copies of Grave Robin. Place a card from your discard pile into your hand. Yeah, this makes sense with these guys, trying to get manipulating your discard. Outbreak. Playing extra minion on a base where you have no minions. The Mall Crawl. Rhodes Plaza. Search your deck for any number of cards with the same name and place them in your discard pile. Shuffle your deck. So dump all them Tenacious Z's in there so you can use them as soon as you need them. Lend a Hand. Shuffle any number of cards from your discard pile into your deck. Overrun. Play on a base. Ongoing. Other players cannot play minions on this base. Destroy this action at the start of your turn. So it gives you a free turn round to make sure you can score a base. They're coming to get you. Play on a base. Ongoing. On your turn, you may play a minion here from your discard pile instead of from your hand. And then, not enough bullets. Place any number of minions with the same name from your discard pile into your hand. So it's all about scoring them bases with these cards and then getting them back out of your discard pile into your hand quicker rather than waiting until your deck runs out. Speaking of Rhodes Mall, we have the Rhodes Plaza Mall. This base scores, each player gains 1 VP for each minion that player has here. This one's actually kind of cool because it's 0, but the more you play, the more you get. So you're going to benefit from playing a lot of smaller ones versus necessarily playing like a couple large ones. And then Evans City Cemetery. After this base scores, the winner discards his or her hand and draws 5 cards. Should be whoever has 5. So again, this might be a thing of like, you're playing zombies, that's fine with you to discard. You're fine, you don't have an issue with that. But another player might be like, oh, I can't afford to discard my hand, you know, so they might play less cards and be satisfied with the 3 or 2 points. So there's like, the concept of the game here is really simple, but the strategy is what it is. It's, you know, doing different things. So now we get some ninjas, which we've seen before a little bit. We have 4 ninja acolytes. Special. On the start, on your turn, if you have not yet played a minion, you may return this minion to your hand and play an extra minion on this base. So he can, like, substitute, essentially. So you can have him out, and on your turn, if you haven't played your minion yet, you can play your action first. You can basically pull him back off and play something higher as a free card, and then play your regular minion. So it helps for like quick scoring. So you have a Shinobi. Before your base scores, you may play this minion there. You can only use Shinobi ability, 1 Shinobi per base. So whether the other one disappear, like you swap out guys and get someone else bigger in there, maybe quicker. The Shinobi lets you drop a guy right at the end. So someone's like, I have 15 points, you have 14 points, I'm going to win. Boom, drop the Shinobi in on that turn, gain the advantage. The Tiger Assassin. You may destroy a minion of power 3 or less on this base. And the Ninja Master. You may destroy a minion on this base. These guys are what, swapping in and out or destroying stuff. Way of Deception. Move 1 of your minions to another base. We have Assassination. Play on a minion. Ongoing. Destroy this minion at the end of the turn. Infiltrate. Play on a base. Destroying action that has been played here. Ongoing. You may ignore this base's ability until the start of your next turn. That's kind of fun if you want to get it. If it has an effect you don't like. We have Poison. Play on a minion. Destroy any number of actions on it. Ongoing. This minion has -4 power to a minimum of 0. 2 copies of Seeing Stars. Destroy a minion with 3 power or less. Smoke Bomb. Play on one of your minions. This minion is not affected by other players' actions. Destroy this card at the start of your turn. So it's like the ninjas have a lot of stuff where they pop in, they do damage, or they move, or they do something, and then they go away. They're like in and out. Hidden Ninja. Special. Before a base scores, play a minion there. I have Disguise. Choose 1 or 2 of your minions on one base. Play an equal number of extra minions there and return the chosen minions to your hand. So this one works like the Ninja Acolyte. You can swap out smaller guys. So you can play a couple of the like really cheap like aliens or robots that have 1 or 2 points, and then you could swap in something really high and like score a base really quick. So these are all about like switching things in and out. But then you still have another card, that other card in your hand you can reuse. So we have the Ninja Dojo. After this base scores, the winner may destroy any one minion. And what would be the benefit of this? This is the ones that say after this character scores, you gotta do this. Basically, you can get rid of them effects. And the Temple of Goju. After this base scores, place each player's highest power minion here on the bottom of its owner's deck. So that way you can draw it quicker than waiting for your discard pile to run out. And what would ninjas be without their counters? The pirates. So yes, you can play a ninja pirate deck, or dinosaur aliens, or zombie, tricksters, all sorts of combinations. So we have 4 copies of the first mate. Special. After this base is scored, you may move this minion to another base instead of its discard pile. And this is where that one base we just said, since after you may destroy one minion, you destroy this before this effect happens. Otherwise, this guy is basically playing for 2, and then after it scores, you can move this minion to another base, and then you can start him already on the next spot. Buccaneer. Special. If this minion would be destroyed, move it to another base instead. So these guys like to stay alive and move around. The 3 costs, which I should have played first, but it's fine. The Saucy Wench. You may destroy a minion of 2 power or less on this base. And finally, we have a Pirate King. So he says, special. Before a base scores, you may move this minion there. So you can quickly jump over and try and capitalize on something about to score. We have Swashbuckling. Each of your minions gains +1 power till the end of turn. Full Sail. Move any number of your minions to other bases. Special. Before a base scores, you may play this card. So right before base scores, you can move your guys around. Powder Keg. Destroy one of your minions and all minions with equal or less power at the same base. Excuse me. Broadside. Destroy all of one player's minions with 2 power or less on the base where you have a minion. And with these guys being able to move around so fast, you can move them there. Broadside them, or move them. Powder Keg. It's kind of what their deal is. We have a second copy of Broadside. And then we have 2 copies of the Dinghy, which lets you move 2 of your minions to other bases. We have Shanghai. Move all other players' minions to another base. Yeah, get rid of them so you can take over. Or Cannon. Destroy up to 2 minions with a power of 2 or less. And finally, Sea Dogs. Name a faction. all of the other players' minions of that faction from one base to another. So these guys are all about moving guys around. Like, the aliens like to pick stuff up and move them to their hand. These guys like to just move people to different bases. So you have the Gray Opal. After this base scores, all other players other than the winner may move a minion from here to another base instead of the discard pile. And then we have Tortuga. The runner-up may move one of his or her minions to a base that replaces this base, so he gets to stay right there. Alright, that was our pirates. And we have two different teams left to go. We have some wizards. So we have 3 copies of the Enchantress, which lets you draw a card. These guys are really fun to play. They get a little owl. So we have 4 copies of the Neophyte. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an action, you may place it in your hand or play it as an extra action. Otherwise, return it to the top of your deck. So these guys are in card manipulation. 2 copies of Chrono Mage. You may play an extra action this turn. So you have all these other guys that are doing stuff like, I get to play extra minions, or I get to play zombies like from the discard pile, or returning guys. Do that. These guys are all about getting your actions out. So they let you play multiple actions. Like Archmage Ongoing, you may play an extra action on each of your turns. This is a guy you want to drop on a base where nobody's going to score, so you can keep using that as long as possible. We have the Wings of Change. Shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 5 cards. You may play an extra action. Scry. Choose one of your minions. Draw cards equal to its power. Destroy that minion. Scry. Search your deck for an action. Reveal it to all players. Place it in your hand and shuffle your deck. Mass Enchantment. Reveal the top card of each other player's deck. Play 1 revealed action as an extra action. Return unused cards to the top of their deck. We have Portal. Reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Place any number of minions revealed into your hand. Return all other cards to the top of your deck in any order. So it's kind of cool. You just shuffle get your minions because you do extra actions and stuff. But then you also need to stack your deck. Time Loop. Play 2 extra actions. Mystic Studies. You get 2 copies just to draw 2 cards. And 2 copies of Summon that you're playing extra minion. So now you can kind of see, like, just looking at this this fraction, the mages or the wizards. If you only are, like, if you're playing a game, you're only playing as these guys, they're not going to be very good because all their actions let you play extra cards. And, like, if you're only using their stuff, you're going to run out. But that's where the fun of mixing is in with other decks are, because now it's something, well, you can kind of, I mean, if you're just grabbing 2 and slamming together, see what happens, cool. But if you're actually trying to maybe plan, you could look at what other card has really good actions that I could use. I want to have more than 1 each turn. Like, you probably wouldn't want to maybe play them with, what's the Tricksters, who had a lot of stuff that's ongoing where you play an action, it stays on the table, because you're not going to get, you're going to run out of action cards too quick. But they work better for something like maybe the Aliens or the Dinosaurs, which had a lot more stuff that was like, play this and it's done, or play it and you're going to score and it's done. Here you have the Great Library. After this base scores, all players with minions here may draw 1 card. Now, this is kind of neat, because just as after it's scored, it doesn't matter. If you're playing a 4-player game, and it's about to score, 4th player could just quickly drop like a 2-card cost there, just to gain points, and then draw a card. Playing Pirates, throw that first mate on there, it scores, he gets to move them anyhow. And the School of Wizardry. After this base scores, the winner looks at the top 3 cards of the base deck, chooses 1 to replace his base, returns all other in any order. So it's kind of neat, you actually get to manipulate the base deck a little bit. And then our final group, our final team for this box set, are the robots. And the robots I say for last because they play a little bit differently. So we have 2 copies of, the Microbot Reclaimer. If this is the first minion you play this turn, you may play an extra minion. Shuffle any number of Microbots from your discard pile into your deck. And then we have Microbot Archivist. Ongoing, after one of your Microbots, including this one, is destroyed, draw a card. 4 copies of Zapbot. You may play an extra minion of 2 power or less. 2 copies of Microbot Fixer. If this is the first minion you played this turn, playing extra minion. Ongoing, each of your Microbots gains +1 power. 2 copies of the Microbot Guard. Destroy a minion on the space with less power than the number of minions you have here. 1 copy of Microbot Alpha. Gain +1 power for each of your other Microbots. All your minions are considered Microbots. So you have a couple more cards yet, but so far we have all these different Microbots which are going to work together. So we have Alpha, Guard, Fixer, Archivist, and Reclaimer. So there are lots more like you play extra minions quick, or draw cards for playing more Microbots, gain power, or just destroy stuff based on how many you play. There's a lot more minions in this deck than there are other sets because they're all just really cheap and they want to play and build up. We do get some bigger ones. We got 3 copies of the Hoverbot. It says reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a minion, you may play it as an extra minion, otherwise return it to the top of your deck. 2 copies of the Warbot. Ongoing, this minion cannot be destroyed. And then our final minion is Nukebot. After this minion is destroyed, destroy each other player's minions on this base. So you're playing a bunch of big ones that can't be hurt or are going to do big damage and stuff, or you're playing all these little guys just to try and take stuff over really quick. But out of their deck, all their cards are minions except for, out of the 20 cards, you get 2 tech centers. So they don't have a ton of actions. So playing these guys with like the wizards would probably be a very bad idea because you wouldn't get any use out of them extra action turns. Playing them with the zombies maybe, where you keep getting cheap cards, they have lots of cheap guys, or getting them out of your discard pile quick, that might work out really well. That's kind of the way this game works too. So you have Tech Center. Choose a base, draw 1 card for each of your minions there. And you like, again, with the zombies, for example, because you just spread them out really quick. So we have base, we have factory, 4, 3, 6, 1, 3, 3, 7, which the last part is the wheat. If you know tech speak. I'm not sure what the 4, 3, 6 stands for. I'm sure it means something, though. When this base scores, the winner gains 1 VP for every 5 power that was played here. And then we have the Central Brain. Each minion here has +1 power. Those are our robots. Alright, so quick final thoughts on Smash Up. Very simple rules. You have 2 actions. You play either a minion or you play an action card each turn. Try and score a number of points to the bases. But the way the game gets really challenging or strategic is depending on what groups you have. Some of the factions might be better together, some might be worse. Like I said, zombies and robots might work really well together. Robots and wizards might be more of a struggle. That being said, again, like you can kind of, once you're playing the game, you can kind of manipulate. Like, okay, I know what these guys do. I kind of know what might work better. Or you can just jam 2 things together, see what happens. Especially once you start buying all the expansions, because there's so many of them, and so many different characters and combinations. You just find something interesting rather than you know, sit around trying to, like, strategic, what can I do to make myself the best deck to beat all the other people I'm playing? You might be like, what would be a fun thing to play? And then let everyone else randomly play fun things. Unless you're playing with the same people all the time, you're going to start to learn stuff. But even then, manipulating the bases makes a difference too, because some of them have ongoing effects, some have end-of-turn effects. Also, what points you're willing to get, because sometimes being first isn't the best, sometimes being last is the best. You never know. Alright, so that is Smash Up, the base game. Check out the other videos that will be coming out with all the different expansions. See you guys later. Bye.